Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Miguel back again with another video. And today we have the iPhone 14 Plus in our hands this time. And Apple decided to call this the Plus. So we're going back to what the iPhone 6 Plus, most likely they wanted to distinguish between the Pro versions and the regular non-Pro versions. So we have the bigger iPhone 14 Plus, which we're gonna go ahead and unbox and review a little bit. So this time replaces the Mini. So the iPhone Mini was not introduced this time, but let's go ahead and unbox it and see what we have. So we have the same box, again, the same size as the Plus version of the iPhone 14 Pro. We have the blue version in hand, and this has 128 gigs of internal storage. So this starts at 3,799 dirhams at 128 gigs. It goes up to 256, and you can also get it at 512 gigs. Let's go ahead and unbox this. So we have the blue color today, which really it's not it's not blue that much, as it is kind of like a very pastel or kind of like a what was the word? Slate, kind of like a grayish slate color, depending on how you look at it. I've actually seen this in person previously as well, this color, and in different lighting it doesn't look blue at all. So over here it looks more blue than normal, but I've seen this color previously and it looks more of like a grayish, kind of like a hue of gray. But again, not a bad color here. It looks more like a baby blue, to be honest. Again, on the box we get the same things, the same paperwork. We have our stickers, our SIM pin, and we also get our USB-C to Lightning port. Now we're going to go ahead and set this up real quick. And while we're setting it up, let's just take a quick look at the sizes here. So this is the iPhone 12 Pro, the same size as the current Pro model of the iPhone 14, but as you can see, obviously a different size, and this again is the same size as the iPhone 14 Pro Max version. Now come to think about it, the iPhone 14 Plus, you would kind of imagine that this has the best battery life, not only because it is a bigger display, but because it also has a dimmer, less refresh rate of a display with only 60 Hertz as compared to the Pro model. So you would automatically think that this actually has the better battery life ever. That's actually what Apple also said when introducing the iPhone 14 Plus. They literally said that this was the best battery ever in an iPhone, and that's kind of cool. You would trust them, but then when you go to the website, this actually has less video playback for 26 hours as compared to the Pro version, which has about 29 hours. So that's 3 hours less. So it kind of contradicts that statement. But again, does that really matter? Does it really matter that this has 3 hours less of a battery on video playback? Now, my discussion here, or my point here, is that phones pretty much nowadays are very complete. They're very perfected, near to perfection nowadays. And there's very minute details that phone manufacturers are making in these phones to kind of tweak them a little bit so that they have improvements, but not something that you would significantly see. I think that's kind of impossible right now, unless there is a technology that is out there that has never been in a phone, and then suddenly a company brings that technology to a phone, and then yes, you previously didn't have that ability, but now you suddenly have the ability to do something like that. So that's a jump, that's a big jump. But nowadays, we're not making jumps. We're slightly tweaking things here and there, and we're mostly kind of making improvements specifically for targeted people. For example, now this has the A15 that the last year's iPhone 13 also had, but there's a slight improvement with one core. Pretty much the same chip. You're not really going to recognize that much of a difference, but again, there are minute details within that chip that are making it kind of do a lot in other areas. So you may not be able to see that much of a difference, so you may be able to see a couple of frames, better frames while playing a game, but then there are really minute different tasks that are assigned to the chip. For example, speech to text, or the photonic engine, the so-called photonic engine that Apple introduced. That's obviously another task that's assigned to the A15 chip, which previously was not with the iPhone 13. And again, different little tasks that are being improved and made better for the next generation phones, which may not physically be there for you to see, but they are in the background making those improvements. which overall make your experience better. So in other words, phones nowadays are kind of customized in specific areas. To give you a very good example, let's say that you wanted to buy a car and you had two options. You had car A and you had car B. So car A has a 0 to 60 in of about 3.5 seconds, let's say. And then car B has a 0 to 60 of 5 seconds, but it also is a very comfortable, much better luxury car. Now, if you were a track racer, or if you were, let's say, if you needed that specific car to race on a track, you wouldn't be bringing a Rolls Royce to the track, although that's a great idea. But you wouldn't do that, right? So you would choose the faster, track-focused car, which was specifically built to go faster around tracks, right? But if you were looking for luxury and comfort, you would go for the slower car, but which also provides you the better, more comfortable ride. So there's a lot to see whenever you're buying a phone. Now, every phone has the same basic features. So you're gonna have a great display, a great battery life, wireless charging, a great performing chip, water and dust resistance. But then there's slight different changes here and there that are deciding factors of whether you're going to buy a phone. So you really cannot trust benchmarks nowadays. We're kind of entering into the era where benchmarks are kind of irrelevant. They do give you a good picture, a good idea of what a phone performance is like, but you can't really rely 100% on that. This phone, the iPhone 14 Plus, is specifically made for people that want a bigger display, don't want to spend as much money, and want a better battery as well. So maybe the person that's buying this doesn't necessarily need a 120 hertz ProMotion display, right? Or they may not need the better, bigger cameras, right? So again, depending on what your specific need is, that's what the phones are made of, which is why you then have the lineup and you have different options to choose from. So that's the iPhone 14 in my opinion. And a lot of people kind of hated on Apple and iPhones because they say that Apple keeps on bringing the same phones over and over and over again. And to some extent, yes, superficially, I would say yeah. But then if you take a deep dive, you're actually able to tell that these phones are more than actually that, and there are significant changes, small but significant changes that you may not notice but are actually doing their job at making sure that you have a good experience with your phone. So yeah, that's the iPhone 14 Plus in my opinion. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know down in the comments below. At 3,799 dirhams, I don't think this is a bad phone at all. I would consider this myself. Even I actually prefer the Pro versions of the phones, mostly because I like the shiny stainless steel. But if I wanted a bigger display and better battery life, I would 100% consider the regular version of the iPhone 14 Plus. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Bye-bye.